Hello and welcome. This is the second part or the second tutorial regarding Tweepy, and we will start by updating part of the existing code that was written before. We were also going to introduce tweepy.cursor, and basically what it does is, well, if you go to Twitter, you have to scroll all the way down, and then there comes a point where there are no more tweets, so it kind of loads more tweets, right? So basically that part is done by tweepy.cursor. Then we're going to actually finish what we already discussed. So we're going to make a simple analysis on how often Elon Musk mentions Tesla, and at the end we will use text below. So in order to use tweepy.cursor and to add some restrictions not to get all tweets, I will start by actually removing part of the code that we had before. So the goal is to get the tweets, the text based on a keyword, but we're going to put some restrictions there. So I'm going to remove the code from before. And we will start with, again, we need the keyword. So let's say that the keyword is, let's say Python, but note that in this case we have to put it like this. So in the square brackets. We already saw what the cursor does, and there are some additional criteria that we can give. So for example, we can only display the latest tweets regarding Python that come from users that have 200 followers, that have at least 500 tweets up until now. So this way we avoid the low quality users, so to say. Let's start. So we would like to have the tweepy.cursor, and what it does is it uses the api.search. The query is the keyword, or in this case we can just say Liverpool. We can actually do it both ways, but I guess having it like this should work fine. The language is English, and then we would like the result type of the tweet to be the most recent one. So what we can specify here is the number of tweets that we would like to get. So let's say that we would like to get the latest 50 tweets. And then we would like to print the tweet. So for every tweet in the result of the search results, based on the keyword, we would like to get the tweet.text, but we saw in the previous tutorial that basically there will be some emojis or flags or some GIFs, so it could be anything, and we would like to convert that into readable, well, at least not an error. So what we do now is, I'm going to comment this out, so we will search for a specific keyword in a specific language, and we'll get the most recent 50 ones and print them out. So here's the result. Here are the latest 50. As you can see, basically our script also does retweets. So if a specific tweet has been retweeted, it will be shown here again. We will also check how to actually not display tweets, but the best way would be to actually Google. So but the code would be if tweet is not a retweet, and let's see if we get some suggestion. Tweepy check if a tweet is a retweet. If tweet text dot starts with, okay, this is one way to do it. So if it starts with RT, then it means that it's a retweet. Then we can just ignore it and not print it. That's also one way, but let's leave it in for now. What we would like to focus on is, this is what we would like to get at the end, but we would like to get it only if the tweet user has followers, so followers count over, let's say, 200 followers, and if the tweet user So followers in this library is called friends. So if there are more than 200 followers, and then if the user, Twitter user, has status account, so that's the posted tweets, let's say 500. So in this case, then we would like to print the tweet text. Well, what we can do is we can put a counter. So let's say tweets printed. Now it's 0. And for every tweet that we print, we're going to increase it by 1. What we can see with this code is how many of the 50 tweets actually fulfill our criteria. So at the end, once we're done with the code, we can print the tweets printed number. And let's see. So there are 27 tweets that fulfill our criteria, and you can see that a lot of them are actually retweets. So if you filter for that, then it would be much less. So probably like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 or something, 6. So this is one way to do it. So if we increase the criteria to 500 or 600 or 800 or whatever, get less. And of course, the next time we use this chunk of code, we would like to make it more readable. Now, of course, the keyword, we already have it here, so it's easy to just change it here. But what we can also do is we have the followers count here as a code. So we could say followers at least 200, 500, 1000, and then here instead of the number itself, we would have the followers. And then in the friends or follow, so this would be following. I'm not sure if I explained that right, but this is the number of followers the unit has, the user has, and this one is the number of following, so the number of user profiles it follows. So followers and following, let's put 500 here as well. So, and also we can be more clear with the name. So maybe instead of just followers, we can put number of followers or number of people following, and then we can put number of tweets. So, and this should actually work, unless we get some error, but it looks fine. So in this case, out of the last 50 tweets containing the word Python, we have 13 that actually fulfill our criteria, and that's good. So the next time we want to change something, we can just change the keyword or just work with this part of our code. Very good, very good. So the next part would be to actually make some analysis on Elon Musk's profile. I'm going to remove the code from before so it doesn't take a lot of time, a lot of space, sorry. And how would we do that? So how often does Elon Musk mention Tesla? So what we want to do is basically we want to get all the tweets from Elon Musk's profile and then check if the word Tesla is in it. And then count the number of tweets that actually has Tesla in it. So let's start. So we will start. Most of the code would be similar to the code up here, because, well, basically we have to go to someone's profile and crawl a certain amount of tweets. So we will do is for every tweet in the tweepy.cursor, again, now instead of api.search, it would be api.user timeline. The screen name, well, let's say in this case it's Elon Musk, but we can put it here. So screen name, maybe SN, Elon Musk. as a screen name, we would like to have the tweet mode to be extended. What this means is that for those who use Twitter know that sometimes you don't get the full tweet, you get just a part of it and then you have to click to expand. Now in this case, if we use the extended tweet mode, we get the full tweet on the first try. So what we then need to specify is the number of items. Let's check how many tweets Elon has, but we can just specify a huge like 50,000, and then if of course if Elon has like 5 or 10,000 tweets, then it would stop there, of course. Then we would like to get the tweet full text, and we all already know that we need to actually encode and decode it as up here. I'm going to comment this code. Actually, I'm just going to delete it so it doesn't take a lot of space. The next part is to actually make the now. So if the word, let's say here I'll put word, in this case is Tesla. So if word is in the tweet, so in the tweet full text, then we would like to do something with it, right? What we can do is, if we want to store the tweets and then check if we're doing it correct, we can start with an empty list, and then we would like to append, so here the tweets, and then we would like to append it, so tweets.append, and what we're going to append is the tweet full text, right? If we do this, what are we going to do? Well, we're actually going to get all the tweets coming from Elon Musk that contain the word Tesla, and that's fine. We can actually hopefully count the tweets by printing the length of the tweets. But what we can also do is we can do a counter. So let's say word counter, and this would be 0, and we could have a tweet counter. So what the tweet does is, well, if for every tweet that we actually get, we would like to increase our tweet counter, and if it actually contains the word, we would like to increase the word counter. At the end, we would like to, of course, check how many of all the tweets contain the word that we are looking for. We can still store them as in the tweets, or we can, of course, not store them. But I think that when we're writing the code for the first time, it's good to have the list to be able to cross-check if we're doing it correctly or not. So I'm going to run this. It will take some time, so I'll stop the video, and then once it is correctly run, or at least it has finished, then okay. Once it has run, is I've done here, I get an error. I would like to share it, so it should be user time line, and then it starts running. So it takes some time. So once it has completed, I will resume the video. So it has finished, and let's see what we have. So what we could have done is do the print function here to get the word counter and the tweet counter, and also get maybe some of the tweets. But first, let's see. Elon Musk has 8,332 tweets, although some of them are in the, we should get all of them. So let's see what we get if we print let's start with printing the full amount of tweets that we have called. So we've had a bit less tweets. I guess that includes the retweets. Like this one. So actually there were 8,000 Out of all the 8,000 tweets, we get 3,240. So all the retweets are not included in this case, so we only get Elon's tweets. So this one is not included, this one is not included, and so on. So out of all the 3,000 tweets, how many of them were actually Tesla related? 840. That's quite a large amount actually. But let's see if the tweets that we've actually stored contain the word Tesla. So let's print the first 10 maybe. So what we can do is either print 0 to 11, or we can do for tweet in tweets, or let's say print tweets 0 to 11. That would be the best way. So Tesla owners schedule search, so we can see that these are actually tweets that contain the word Tesla. So we did a good job. Very good. So how easy would it be for us to change any of the word or any of the user? Well, not that difficult, right? So we would just need to change this part, and we can also have a different analysis. So we could also have maybe have a percentage of the total tweets that contain the word that we need. So it could be the word counter divided by the tweet counter. We could print it out as a sentence containing both. I think this is very nice for beginners to work with some print statements even that come out of a given library. And I think that would be it for this part. So what we could also do is go at for example real Donald Trump and check the word Russia or China or US or any word basically, and then yeah, let's move to the text blob. So the first part that you need to do is you need to import, or well, if you haven't installed it, install text blob. I'm going to import it here because yeah, if I go up, I'll actually show my consumer key and token as well as my access token and secret. Well, I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to import it here. So from text blob, import text blob. So what it does is it takes a tweet and it checks whether it's positive or negative. So the sentiment polarity, whether it's positive tweet or whether it's a negative tweet. I'm going to actually remove this one because we no longer need it, but of course you can play with it, and hopefully you can make some use of it. So this part is done. How often does Elon Musk mention Tesla? We already saw. And then so how positive or negative are CNN's tweets about Trump? Actually, we are going to need the code back. Because here what we would need is, instead of the screen name of Elon, we would need CNN, and the word would be Trump. So let's get CNN. I would think this one. Let's see which one has more tweets. That's 254K. I think both would be a good match. Since 2007, so I'll use this one. So CNN BRK. So now we no longer want to make the analysis of how many times Trump was mentioned, but we would like to check whether when he's mentioned is in a good way, in a positive sentiment or not. How do we do that? Well, we don't want to store the tweets. We don't need the word counter. What we could do is, so for once we get the tweet text, what we would like to do is check the polarity of it. But what are we going to do with that polarity? So we might have, let's say, 10 tweets, and one has positive 0.5, one has negative 0.3, and so on. And how would we actually make sense of those numbers? By the way, the polarity goes from -1 to 1, so it could be any number between the two. What we could do is we could have a maybe a positive sentiment as a separate one and a negative sentiment as a separate one, as a separate variable that we would change over time. If we get, oh, we can also store the tweets and see which ones text blob claims that are positive and which ones it claims that are negative. So what we could do is get so positive sentiment, and here we're going to store the positive tweets, negative sentiment, and here is where we're going to store the negative ones. So basically for every tweet we already have the full text, but then we would like also import this one on the top, and we would like to, yeah, that's fine for now. So up until at this point we have the tweet. So if we're going to use text blob, and that would include a tweet full text. So we would say if dot sentiment dot polarity, if it's greater than 0, it means it's positive. We would like to append it, so positive sentiment dot append, and then we would like to append the tweet. So if we do this, what we have at the end of the code, once the script has run, we have a list of all the positive tweets by CNN for Trump, and then what we could also do is elif, and then we can just copy the same code. If it's negative, then we would like to append it to the negative sentiment. Tweet full text. So now there are few questions that we have to ask before we run the code. What if a tweet has 0.01? Is it a positive one or is it a neutral one? Is it really a positive tweet? What should be our border be? Where do we put the line? Is 0.1 a positive tweet? Because it's very close to being neutral. So we can play with these upper numbers and to put some, like we could say if it's greater than 0.3, then it's actually a positive tweet, or if it's below minus 0.3, then it's a negative one. So I think this one would make a bit more sense, because then we would eliminate a lot of these neutral tweets that we would otherwise classify as positive or negative ones. So after this, what we would have is just the number of tweets that are positive or negative. Is that fine? Maybe, could be. Do we need the tweets? Well, we have them. If we want to get the number, we could do the same thing as up. So we could have positive tweets and negative tweets, and we start by 0. So if it's a positive one, we would like to positive tweet increase by 1. If it's a negative one, then negative tweets plus equals 1. Oh, here I needed positive tweets. So if we run this code, there are two things that happen. One is we save the tweets that are positive or negative, as well as we increase the counter. So then we can compare, maybe we can also at the end we will just pass, because for the tweets that do not actually fit any of these criteria, so for the ones that are between minus 0.3 and 0.3, we would like them to do nothing. At the end, what we could do is we could print the positive tweets. So this is the number of positive tweets. We could say there are a total of, then this would be the amount of positive tweets posted by CNN regarding including Trump. And then we could do the same for negative tweets. Alright, and yeah, let's close the brackets as well. So that's fine. Let's give it a try. Let's run the script and let's see what happens. So we got an error. Positive is not defined. Positive. Where did I miss that? It was line 43. So positive dot sentiment. Oh, here it should be underscore sentiment. Yeah, so but let's also not use 50,000. We can also test with, I would say, 20,000. That should also be fine, since Trump was not in the president for a long time, or not a lot. I would not say that all tweets are from the moment he started running for president. So I would say that this should be good. So here are the results. Out of the last 20,000 tweets posted by CNN that include Trump, 267 of them had a positive sentiment over 0.3 according to TextBlob, and 108 of them had a negative sentiment. So Trump calls CNN fake news, but CNN has more positive tweets about Trump. We can't judge really if that's actually justified or not. Regarding the code itself, what we can still do is optimize it a bit more. So for example, all of these extra spaces, we can get rid of them. And also, in my opinion, it's very important to have all the variables, all the things that we might change later on as separate ones on top. Just like we have the screen name and the word that we're looking for, we can also have separate ones for like the upper limit or the lower limit, or like positivity limit. Or we can even here we can just have one, so such as I would say sentiment threshold. Maybe we can set it to 0.3, and here we would have so if the sentiment polarity is greater than the sentiment threshold, and here it would be minus sentiment threshold. So the goal is to have this code that we would not modify for this purpose at least, and we would only work with this part up here. So choose another user, choose another word to check if it's in a positive way or not. Choose Elon Musk, check what he thinks about Tesla. Who knows, maybe there will be a lot of negative tweets. I doubt it, but anyway. Before wrapping it up, I would like to say that there are plenty of things that you can experiment with. First of all, of course, you can choose a different user, a different word. That's fine. That's completely fine. If you want to find out that's completely fine. But if your goal is to learn Python and the syntax, then changing the words would not really contribute to that. What you can do is take a look at the positive sentiment tweets, so the ones that are already included, and maybe take a look at, are they actually positive, or the other way around, take a look at the negative ones and question whether they are actually negative. One thing that might be is that the sentiment threshold is too low, so maybe there are some neutral tweets, or it could be a positive tweet as labeled as a negative one and the other way around. So that is something that you can do. So take a look at some of the tweets, maybe play with the threshold, check which threshold suits your need the best, gives the best outcome. Of course, you can also graph the positive compared to negative tweets. You can make a histogram, you can do a pie chart, you can do any of that. But what you can also do is you can create an interface and add all this code, put it in the background. So the user would basically choose only these two, so maybe even like a drop-down menu, choose a politician, choose a football player, any person, any Twitter account, and then choose the word, and then the outcome would be whether that person has a positive or negative opinion on it. So all of these are positive. Just feel, I know that it might not be comfortable to play with these things because of course if you don't have the right knowledge, but that's the only way to actually learn more, if you push yourself out of the comfort zone. So yeah, I would say that would be it regarding the code. That would be all. Thank you for following to the very end. I hope that you've enjoyed the content. I hope that you can make use of it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you have any suggestions, ideas, anything, please let me know, and until next time,